Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about small talk. Do you know what small talk is? It's a kind of conversation, but it's not too serious. Small talk is for exchanging simple ideas. We use it to break the silence, connect with people, or make new friends. It's like saying, "Hey, I see you. Let's talk about something light." Imagine this. You're meeting someone for the first time. Maybe it's at a party, in the office, or even waiting for a train. What do you say? You don't know them well yet, so you probably won't start with your life story. Instead, you begin with something simple. For example, "Hi, how's it going?" Or "Beautiful weather today, isn't it?" These short, friendly lines are part of small talk. Small talk happens everywhere, in shops, cafes, elevators, buses, parks, or even in line at the grocery store. Think about when you go to a coffee shop to order coffee. You might say to the barista, "Busy day for you guys?" Or "Wow, it smells good in here." These little comments are small talk. They make the world a friendlier place. So why does small talk matter? Well, it's important because it helps us build connections. Human connections matter a lot, don't you think? Even a short chat can make you feel happier or more comfortable. And for English learners like you, small talk is a perfect chance to practice. It gives you quick, simple sentences to say aloud. It doesn't require long thinking or complicated grammar. If you're new to small talk, it may feel hard at first. Maybe you think, "What should I say? Will the other person understand me? What if I make a mistake?" These thoughts are totally normal. Don't worry. Many people feel shy, including native English speakers. You're not alone. Small talk feels awkward at first, but practice makes it easier. Here's something important. Small talk doesn't have to be perfect. Even native speakers make mistakes. For example, someone might accidentally say, "How's weather today?" instead of, "How's the weather today?" It's okay. The goal of small talk isn't to show perfect grammar. The goal is to communicate and connect, so don't be too hard on yourself. Let's take a real-life example. Imagine your neighbor is outside watering the plants. You walk by and you could say, "Hi, the garden looks great." This small compliment might lead to more conversation. Maybe the neighbor will smile and say, "Thank you. I've been working on it a lot." Then you can ask, "Oh, what kind of flowers are these?" Now you've started a conversation. Great job. Sometimes when you're learning English, you might worry about what other people think. It's natural to feel this way. You might think, "What if they laugh at my accent? What if they think my English is bad?" But here's a secret. Most people appreciate the effort. They will respect you for trying to speak and connect. In fact, many people will want to help you if you are learning. Everyone starts somewhere. Even native speakers weren't born talking perfectly. They learn too. When you try, you show courage, and that's amazing. Every word you say, every sentence you practice, brings you closer to fluency. Think of small talk as a workout for your English skills. Short, light conversations help build a stronger speaking muscle. Another great thing about small talk is that it's often repetitive. People use the same sentences again and again. For example, "Hi there, how are you?" "I'm good, thanks. How about you?" Or, "Lovely day, isn't it?" "Yeah, it's beautiful." These are phrases you'll hear often. If you can learn a few key lines, like greetings or weather comments, you'll be ready for many situations. And the best part? You don't need to remember long speeches. Just a few words are enough to get started. For example, let's practice now. Imagine you're at a bus stop. Someone stands beside you. You want to talk. What could you say? You could try, The buses are really slow today, aren't they? This shows you're open to chatting. The other person might reply, yeah, they really are. I hope it comes soon. Just like that, you're having a conversation. Or imagine you're in an elevator. It's quiet, and someone is standing next to you. This can feel awkward sometimes. To break the silence, you could smile and say, "This elevator is fast, huh?" It's a simple comment, but who knows where the conversation might lead. Maybe you'll find out you work in the same building, or you like the same coffee shop. Remember, small talk is not about being perfect. It's about being friendly. Being friendly matters more than grammar or vocabulary. For example, if you say, "Nice day isn't," instead of "Nice day isn't it," it's still okay. The person will understand your meaning. Conversations are not grammar tests. They're about connection. Sometimes people might just smile and not reply much. That's okay too. Maybe they're shy or they don't feel like talking. It's not about you. Don't take it personally. The important thing is that you tried. Not everyone will want to chat, and that's normal. Here's a tip. Watch how native speakers use small talk. Pay attention in movies, TV shows, or real life. What do they say when they meet someone new? Listen for patterns, common phrases, and topics. Then try to copy these phrases in your own conversations. Think of it as learning through observation. Let's practice some simple phrases now, just to get you started. Hi, how are you? Wow, it's so cold today. Lovely weather we're having, isn't it? Do you come here often? What a long line. Do you think it'll move fast? Small talk topics are usually simple. Avoid heavy topics like politics or personal problems. Instead, stay light. Talk about the weather, the scene around you, or even a compliment. For example, "I love your bag. Where did you get it?" People love compliments, and they can lead to fun conversations. Now here's your challenge for today. Try small talk with one new person. It could be someone at work, school, or even a friendly shopkeeper. Just say something simple like, "Hello, how's your day going?" Don't overthink it. You're practicing, and that's what matters most. Finally, don't forget to relax. Small talk is meant to be fun and casual. Enjoy it. You're not just improving your English. You're building relationships, learning about culture, and becoming more confident. Every word you say helps you grow a little more. Part 2. Welcome back. Let's keep exploring how to use small talk in your daily life. By now, you know that small talk is simple, light, and a great way to practice your English. But where do you start? What should you say first? Don't worry, we'll figure it out together. Every conversation begins with a greeting. This is like opening the door to talk in English. There are many ways to greet someone. You can say hi or hello. These are very common and simple. If you want to add more, you can say, "Hi, how are you?" or "Hello, how's it going?" When someone greets you, don't panic. You can answer in a few words. "I'm good, thanks. How about you?" Or "I'm doing well, thanks for asking." These are polite ways to reply. Even if you're not feeling great, it's okay to say, "I'm okay, thanks." Small talk is about being polite and positive, so keep it light. Let's think about where you might use a greeting. Maybe you're in an office, walking past a coworker. You could say, "Morning, how's everything?" That's a casual way to start small talk. Or imagine you're at a cafe. The barista smiles at you. You could say, "Hi, busy morning?" See how easy that is. It's just one sentence, and you've started a friendly chat. After a greeting, what's next? A good topic. Small talk doesn't have to be about anything big. Start with what's around you. Look around. Is the sun shining? Is it raining? Talk about it. The weather is one of the most common small talk topics, especially in English-speaking countries. For example, you can say, "It's so hot today, isn't it?" Or, "Wow, it's been raining all day." These are safe, easy comments. The person might reply, "Yeah, it's very hot today," or, "I know, I wish it would stop raining." Then, you've already started a conversation. Good job. If you're inside and the weather isn't a good topic, try something else. Talk about what's happening. For example, if you're in a long line at the grocery store, you can say, "Wow, this line is so long today," or "They're so busy, aren't they?" The other person will probably agree, and then you can keep talking. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if I run out of things to say? This can happen, but that's okay. A great way to keep the conversation going is to ask simple questions. For example, do you live around here? Do you come here often? What do you like to do on weekends? Asking questions shows that you're interested in the other person. It also makes the conversation flow naturally. People usually enjoy talking about themselves, so when you ask questions, it makes them feel good. Let's practice together. Imagine you're at a gym. Someone is using the treadmill next to you. After your greeting, you could ask, "Do you work out here often?" Or, "How long have you been coming to this gym?" These questions are easy introductions, and they fit the situation. Another tip is to listen carefully. Small talk is not just about speaking, it's also about listening. When the other person talks, focus on their words. Nod your head or say to show you're listening. If they mention something interesting, ask more about it. For example, if they say, "I love traveling," you can ask, "Oh, really? Where have you traveled to?" Listening makes people feel valued, and it helps you think of new things to say. Plus, the more you listen, the more English you learn. You'll hear how native speakers phrase things, which words they use, and how they change their tone. This will help you improve your speaking skills in the long run. Sometimes, though, small talk doesn't go as planned. Maybe the other person doesn't respond much. Maybe they give one-word answers, like yeah or no. If this happens, don't feel bad. It's not your fault. Some people are shy, busy, or simply not in the mood to talk. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Just smile and move on. Now let's talk about another important part of small talk, your tone of voice and body language. These matter just as much as your words, even if your English isn't perfect. A warm tone and friendly smile can make all the difference. When you speak, try to sound relaxed and happy. Don't rush your words. Speak slowly and clearly. This makes it easier for others to understand you. And remember to smile. A smile shows you're friendly and open. People are more likely to talk to someone who looks approachable. Your body language also tells a story. Stand up straight, but don't look stiff. Face the person you're talking to and make eye contact. These small actions show confidence. If you're nervous, that's okay. Just do your best. Confidence comes with practice. Now let's talk about mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning, so don't let them stop you. For example, you might accidentally say the wrong word. Maybe you say, "It's a snowy day," when it's actually sunny. What can you do? Smile, and laugh it off. You can say, "Oh, silly me. I meant sunny." Most people will laugh with you, not at you. Mistakes often make conversations memorable. They show you're human, and nobody expects you to be perfect. In fact, if you laugh at your own mistakes, it shows confidence. So when you mess up, remember, it's no big deal. Every mistake teaches you something new. As we wrap up this part, here's a quick challenge for you. Think about someone you see often. Maybe it's a neighbor, a co-worker, or the cashier at your favorite shop. The next time you see them, start with a greeting. Say, "Hi, how are you?" Or, if it's easier, comment on something simple like, "Wow, it's so cold today, isn't it?" Just one sentence. You can do it. Remember, every small conversation helps you grow. Say, "Hi, how are you?" Or, if it's easier, comment on something simple like, "Wow, it's so cold today, isn't it?" Just one sentence. You can do it. Remember, every small conversation helps you grow. Small talk isn't about being perfect. It's about being friendly. Every hello, every question, every little chat brings you closer to fluency. So smile, say hi, and keep practicing. You're doing an amazing job, and I'm so proud of you. Part 3. We've talked about greetings, topics, and how to use body language. Now let's dive into some specific situations where small talk happens. Knowing how to handle these situations will make you feel more confident in your conversations. Imagine you're at a party. Parties can be a little scary because there are so many people. You might feel nervous or unsure about who to talk to, but guess what? Most people feel the same way. Starting a conversation might be easier than you think. At a party, you can begin with something simple. For example, if you're meeting someone for the first time, you could say, "Hi, I'm your name. What's your name?" If you've already met them, you could say, "Hi, nice to see you again. How have you been?" These are polite and friendly openers. After the introduction, what's next? Look around the room. Is there music playing? Is there food on the table? You can comment on these things. For example, "The music is great, isn't it?" Or, "This cake looks amazing. Have you tried it yet?" These light comments can spark a conversation. What if the party is for a special event, like a birthday or wedding? You can use the event as your topic. For example, at a birthday party, you could say, "Wow, the decorations are so nice. Did you help set them up?" Or at a wedding, you might say, "The bride looks so beautiful, doesn't she?" These comments are positive and help you connect with others. Now, let's switch to another place where small talk happens often. Workplaces. If you're working in an office or with a team, small talk is very common. It helps build relationships with your coworkers and makes the workplace more enjoyable. When you see a coworker in the morning, greet them with a smile. You could say, "Good morning. Did you have a good weekend?" Or, "Hello, how's your day going so far?" These are casual, friendly ways to start small talk at work. Lunchtime is another great opportunity for small talk. Imagine you're sitting with a colleague in the break room. You could ask, "What did you bring for lunch today?" Or, "Do you have a favorite cafe around here?" These questions are light and easy to answer. They also show that you're interested in the other person. Workplaces are also full of shared experiences, like meetings or projects. You can use these as small, obvious lessons. The importance of recording yourself, whether it be a video or an audio clip, and then going back and listening to yourself. Use audio or video recordings to monitor your speaking skills and identify areas for improvement. This will help you overcome your fears because you're recognizing the points at which you struggle, the patterns, the words, the expressions that really cause you to feel a bit uncomfortable. Here are 3 reasons why this technique is so powerful. Reason number 1. It helps you become aware of your pronunciation intonation. Maybe they have a stronger accent. Maybe they feel like their pronunciation isn't that good. In order to remove that fear, record yourself and then review what you recorded, and you'll start to improve your pronunciation. Many times, English learners, and maybe even you, experience fear because they feel like the individual they're speaking with will not understand them. Reason number two, you can track your progress over time and celebrate going back to affirmations, celebrate your improvements, and finally, it allows you to practice self-correction and develop a critical ear, recognizing your mistakes and correcting them before you get into a conversation. Technique number five, practice speaking in front of a mirror to build confidence. I absolutely love this one. Getting in front of a mirror and talking to yourself is going to feel odd. It's going to feel weird and awkward in the very beginning, but it works. This is a very powerful technique. You use a mirror to observe your facial expressions and your body language while speaking English, and you'll be able to self-correct. Here are 3 reasons why this is so powerful. Reason number 1. It helps you become more comfortable with how you look while speaking. When you can see yourself, you'll be able to recognize, when I say certain things, this is how I move. Let me change this. Let me adjust a bit. Reason number 2. It helps you practice maintaining eye contact and confident posture. This is powerful. Again, it helps you practice eye contact and keeping your posture in the right way. Eye contact is powerful. If all of a sudden, for those watching this lesson on YouTube, if all of a sudden I kind of looked away for the entire lesson and you didn't know what was going on, you'd feel a little bit awkward. Now, when I look at my screen as I'm teaching you, I always make sure to come back to you and give you eye contact, because eye contact is important when you're speaking to or with someone. Reason number 3. Speaking in front of a mirror is important because it allows you to focus on your mouth movements for better pronunciation. You notice that, right? Again, for those watching, you noticed I slowed down and you saw my mouth moving in a specific way. You can watch your mouth movements when you practice in front of a mirror. Technique number 7. Prepare and practice common phrases for various situations. First word, again, prepare. You see, learn and rehearse frequently used expressions and sentences for different contexts. When you keep a notebook, we talked about journaling in one of our previous lessons as well. When you keep a notebook and you write down new phrases you've learned, or these common phrases and expressions used in real life, and then practice them. When you're aloe in front of your mirror, when you're recording yourself, then when you get to an actual conversation, your brain says, we've practiced this before. Let's use these expressions. Here are the 3 reasons why this technique is so powerful. Reason number: confidence in conversations. 1. It builds your handling every day. It's all about confidence. This is why, as an English teacher, I focus so much on helping you feel more confident. My friend, listen. You know a lot. You've studied tons of books. I'm going to leave that in there. You've taken many courses. You know a lot. Now it's time for you to use what you've learned in a confident way. Reason number 2. You'll be able to respond more quickly and naturally in common situations when you practice ahead of time. Reason number 3. It helps you expand your vocabulary and improve your fluency. The more you practice, the more you'll be able to use these expressions and words in real life. Technique number 8. Gradually expose yourself to more challenging speaking scenarios. Listen, if you don't want to be afraid, if you want to feel prepared, you have to practice ahead of time. So again, you have to expose yourself to more challenging speaking scenarios. In other words, progressively engage in more complex or intimidating English-speaking situations, those situations that normally would cause you to pull back. Instead, now go directly into those conversations. Make an effort. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Why is this technique so important? Reason number one, it helps you build resilience and adaptability in your language use. You can do it. Believe in yourself. Reason number two, you'll expand your comfort zone and improve your overall communication skills. You'll get better the more you are stretched. Reason number three, it prepares you for real-life situations where you'll need to use English. This technique is going to help you a lot because it's going to show you just how good you can be. Technique number 9, set realistic expectations for your language learning journey. Now this ties into our earlier technique where you have to set small, achievable goals. Now we're talking about setting realistic expectations. Earlier, I mentioned trying to learn 1,000 English vocabulary words in 5 days. That's not really realistic. You might be able to memorize them, but using them. So, again, understand that language learning is a gradual process and avoid setting unrealistic goals, my friend. When you want something, you must work for it. Fluency does not come in one day. It is like planting a tree. You put the seed in the ground, water it, and give it sunshine every day. You care for it, and then one day, the tree grows big and strong. The same is true for fluency. One day, a student came to me. She was very sad. She said, "Teacher, I want to speak English, but I always forget the words." I smiled and said, "Do not worry. Fluency is not about remembering all the words. It is about practice." She looked at me with hope in her eyes. "But how can I practice?" she asked. "Practice is everywhere. You can practice by talking to your friends, by listening to stories, by singing songs. You can practice every moment of the day." I remember when I was in school, I loved stories. I would listen to them every night. My teacher would read to us, and I would repeat the words. At first, I was slow, but with time, I became faster. I learned new words, and my confidence grew. Another student asked me, "Teacher, is fluency only about speaking fast?" I said no. Fluency is about speaking clearly. It is about making others understand you. You do not have to speak quickly. You have to speak with confidence. There was once a boy in my class who spoke very fast, but no one could understand him. Slow down. Speak clearly. Use simple words. He listened, and soon everyone could understand him. He became more confident and enjoyed speaking in English. Fluency is like a journey. You take one step at a time. You do not rush. You enjoy the process. One day, you look back and see how far you have come. You will see that you have made progress. You will see how far you have come. I have seen many students who were afraid to speak at first, but with time and practice, they became fluent. There is a secret to gaining fluency. It is a simple secret. The secret is to listen. Listen to others speak English. Listen to stories. Listen to songs. Listen to conversations. The more you listen, the more you learn. I once knew a girl who loved music. She would listen to English songs every day. Soon, she started singing along. Her fluency improved because she was listening and repeating. Another important thing is to not be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are our best teachers. I remember a student who was very afraid of making mistakes. She would not speak because she thought others would laugh at her. I told her, do not worry about mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson. One day, she decided to speak in class. She made many mistakes, but she did not stop. She kept speaking, and after a while, she became better. She told me, "Teacher, I am not afraid anymore." That was the day she started to become fluent. Fluency is also about thinking in English. When you think in English, you start to speak more naturally. I once had a student who always translated from his language to English. This made him slow and confused. Try to think in English. Even when you are alone, think in English. He tried this, and slowly he became more fluent. There was another student who loved to talk. He would talk about anything and everything. But he had a problem. He would start a sentence in English and then switch to his native language. Try to stay in English. Even if you don't know a word, try to explain it in English. This helped him stay focused, and soon he was speaking only in English. Reading is another way to gain fluency. When you read, you see how sentences are formed, and you learn new words. I remember when I was learning English, I would read simple books. Every time I found a new word, I would write it down. Then I would try to use it in a sentence. This helped me remember the words and use them when I spoke. One day, a student came to me with a book. She said, "Teacher, I read this book, but I did not understand everything." I told her, "That is okay. That is okay. The more you read, the more you will understand." She continued to read every day. After some time, she came to me and said, "Now I understand much more." Her fluency improved because she was reading and learning new things every day. Fluency is also about listening to yourself. Sometimes you need to record yourself speaking, then listen to it and see where you can improve. I once had a student who did this every day. She would record herself reading a story, then she would listen to the recording and find areas where she could improve. This practice made her more aware of her speech, and soon she became fluent. Practicing with a friend is another great way to gain fluency. I had two students who were best friends. They decided to speak only in English with each other every day. They would have conversations in English, helping each other with words they didn't know. Over time, both of them became very fluent. They learned from each other. They enjoyed the process. Fluency also comes from using the language in real-life situations. When you go to the market, try to speak in English. When you are with friends, try to use English. The more you use the language, the more fluent you become. I had a student who worked in a shop. He decided to speak only in English with his customers. He said, "I don't know how to communicate with my customers." At first, it was difficult, but with time, he became more confident and fluent. Fluency is also about being curious. When you hear a new word, don't ignore it. Find out what it means and try to use it in your next conversation. I remember a student who was very curious. Every time he heard a new word, he would ask me what it meant. He would ask me what it meant. Then he would try to use that word as much as possible. His vocabulary grew, and so did his fluency. It is also important to have a goal. Ask yourself, why do I want to be fluent in English? When you have a clear goal, you are more motivated. I knew a student who wanted to travel to an English-speaking country. This was her goal. She practiced speaking English because she wanted to be ready for her trip. Her goal kept her motivated, and she became fluent before she traveled. I also tell my students to enjoy the process. Fluency does not come overnight. It takes time, but if you enjoy the journey, it becomes easier. I once had a student who loved watching English movies. He would watch one movie every night. At first, he used subtitles, but after a while, he started watching without them. He enjoyed the movies, and at the same time, he was improving his fluency. Fluency is about repetition. The more you repeat, the better you become. I remember a student who loved to repeat sentences. He would hear something in class and then say it over and over again. This helped him a lot. I remember a student who loved to repeat sentences. This helped him remember the sentences, and soon he was using them in his daily conversations. Speaking with different people also helps with fluency. Every person has a different way of speaking. When you talk to different people, you learn different styles of speaking. I once had a student who was very shy. He only spoke to me. I encouraged him to speak to other students. At first he was nervous, but with time he became more comfortable. He learned new ways of expressing himself, and his fluency improved. Sometimes it is good to practice speaking about topics you love. When you talk about something you enjoy, you are more passionate and the words come more easily. I had a student who loved football. Every day he would talk to me about football. This helped him become more fluent because he was speaking about something he was excited about. Fluency also comes from understanding that it's okay to not know everything. Sometimes you may not know a word, and that is okay. Try to explain it in another way. I had a student who always wanted to know the exact word for everything. If he didn't know the word, he would stop speaking. I told him, if you don't know the word, try to describe it. This helped him keep the conversation going even when he didn't know the exact word. A student once asked me, "Teacher, how long will it take to become fluent?" Do not stop. This student practiced every day and soon saw progress. Sometimes it is helpful to practice in front of a mirror. When you see yourself speaking, you become more aware of your expressions and gestures. I had a student who was very shy. She did not like to speak in front of others. I told her to practice in front of a mirror. This helped her become more confident, and soon she was speaking more fluently. Another student asked me, "Teacher, what should I do if I forget a word while speaking?" I told him, do not stop. Keep talking. Sometimes the word will come to you later. If not, use another word. Another word. This helped him stay calm when speaking, and he didn't worry about forgetting words. It is also important to take breaks. Sometimes your brain needs rest, After a long day of practice, it is good to relax. I knew a student who practiced all the time. She became very tired and started to feel frustrated. I told her, take a break, relax, come back tomorrow with a fresh mind. After taking breaks, she felt better and her fluency continued to improve. Fluency is also about using the language in creative ways. You can write a short story, sing a song, or even make a video. I had a student who loved to write. She would write short stories in English every day. This helped her practice new words and sentences. Soon she started reading her stories aloud and her fluency improved. Another way to practice is by teaching others. When you teach, you learn even more. I had a student who was very fluent quickly, but when he did not see progress, he became frustrated. I told him, be patient. You are making progress, even if it is slow. He listened to me and continued to practice. Over time, he saw improvement and became more fluent. He became more confident. Fluency is not just about speaking. It is also about listening. When you listen carefully, you learn how to respond. I had a student who was a good listener.
I thought we would stay together, but I was wrong. The day after our father's funeral, we went to the lawyer's office. The lawyer opened the papers. He told us that our father wanted everything to be shared between us, but Daniel did not want to share. He wanted everything for himself. I sat there, shocked. Daniel looked at me with cold eyes. I deserve more, he said. I could not believe it. My own brother was telling me this. He was saying he deserved more than me. I worked hard all my life. I helped our father with everything. I never asked for more. But Daniel, he never worked hard. He never helped our father. He only thought about himself. He wanted the house, the land, and the money. He wanted it all, and he did not care about me. I looked at him. He was my brother, but in that moment he seemed like a stranger, a man who cared about nothing but money. I wanted to speak, but I could not. My heart was broken. I could not believe my own brother would do this. Daniel didn't stop there. He kept talking. His voice was loud and angry. I need this money, he said. I deserve it. I'm the older brother. I should have everything. I felt a rush of anger in me. How could he say that? How could he think he deserved everything just because he was older? I worked hard for this. I worked hard every day. And now he was taking it all from me. Daniel, this is not fair, I said. We promised to share everything. This is our father's wish. We can't break that promise. But Daniel did not care. He didn't listen to me. You don't understand, he said. You never understand. I need this money to make my life better. I need it more than you. I felt tears in my eyes. My brother, the person I loved most in the world, was telling me that I wasn't important, that I didn't matter. He left the lawyer's office that day with all of our father's things. He took everything, and I was left with nothing but my broken heart. I couldn't believe it. How could my brother do this? How could he take everything and leave me with nothing? We were family. We were supposed to take care of each other. But Daniel didn't care about family. He only cared about himself. That night I sat alone in our father's old house. I looked around at all the memories, our father's chair, his books, his photographs. They were all gone now. Daniel took them, and I was alone. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do, but I knew I had to leave, not with all the pain he caused. I packed my things. I walked out of the door. But as I left, I looked back. I looked back at the house where we grew up. I looked back at my brother, and for the first time, I felt that we were not family anymore. Days passed, but my heart did not heal. I couldn't stop thinking about Daniel, about what he had done. I still remembered his angry face, his words cutting through me like a knife. He took everything, and I was left with nothing. I tried to move on. I tried to start fresh, but it was hard. Every time I saw something that reminded me of our father, I remembered Daniel. The pain in my heart would come back. I decided to visit the lawyer. Maybe there was still something I could do. Maybe there was a way to make things right. When I arrived at the office, the lawyer looked at me with sad eyes. "I'm sorry, David," he said, "but there's nothing I can do. Daniel has all the rights now. Your father made it clear in his will." The words hit me hard. "But it's not fair," I said, my voice shaking. "Daniel doesn't care about our father's wishes. He just wants the money. He doesn't care about family." The lawyer didn't say anything. He just looked at me and nodded. I left the office feeling lost. I walked through the streets feeling like there was no way out. My brother had taken everything, and now he was gone. I went back to the house one last time. I stood outside looking at the place where I had grown up. It didn't feel like home anymore. It didn't feel like family anymore. I knocked on the door. I knew Daniel would not answer. I knew he didn't want to talk to me. But I knocked anyway. And to my surprise, he opened the door. His face was different now. He looked tired. He looked sad. "Daniel," I said quietly, "we need to talk." He didn't say anything at first. He just looked at me. But then he stepped aside and let me in. We sat in silence for a long time. Neither of us knew what to say. Finally, Daniel spoke. "I'm sorry, David," he said. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I was angry. I was scared. I thought if I had everything, I would be happy. But I wasn't happy." I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if I could forgive him. We sat in silence for a while longer. But for the first time in weeks, I felt a little peace. Maybe things wouldn't be perfect. Maybe we couldn't fix everything. But at least we were talking again. Maybe, just maybe, we could start to heal. The days after our conversation were quiet. It wasn't easy, and we didn't speak much. But something had changed between us. There was no anger, no hate. It was as if the wall between us had begun to fall, piece by piece. Daniel stayed in the house. He didn't ask for more money, and he didn't bring up the past. I could tell he was struggling with guilt, and I understood. I was struggling too. One afternoon, I came home and found him sitting at the kitchen table. He was looking at an old photograph. It was of the two of us when we were children. I didn't say anything at first. I just stood there, watching him. Finally, he looked up at me. "I miss him, Mike," he said softly. "I miss Dad." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to shout, to remind him of what he had done. But another part of me felt sadness, too. We both missed our father. We both felt the empty space he had left behind. "I miss him, too," I said quietly. "I don't know why you did what you did, Daniel. But I know you're hurting." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what happened to me. I just wanted to feel important. I thought the money would make me feel that way, but now it feels empty. I can't fix what I've done. For a moment, we just sat there, not speaking. The weight of the past was heavy, but at that moment I realized something. Maybe we couldn't fix everything, but we could try to rebuild. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, I said slowly, but I want to try. I don't want to live with this pain anymore. Daniel nodded. I understand. I don't expect forgiveness right away, but I'm here, Mike. I'm trying. That night, I went to bed feeling strange. It was the feeling of something starting to change, something starting to heal. The next day, Daniel came to me. Mike, I want to make things right, he said. I know I can't fix everything, but I can start by giving back what I took. It wasn't much, but it was a start. He handed me a small envelope with a note inside. I'm sorry, the note said. This is for Dad. It wasn't the end of our story, but it was the beginning of something new. Maybe we would never be the same as we were before. Maybe we couldn't go back to the way things were, but we could move forward. Together. The days that followed were different. Daniel and I didn't talk about the past anymore, but there was a change in the air. It was as if we were both waiting for something, waiting for the healing to begin. I could see that Daniel was trying. He began to help around the house more. He fixed things that had been broken for years, and he even started to spend more time with the family. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than before. One evening, we sat together in the living room. The TV was on, but neither of us were really watching. It was just the two of us, sitting in silence. Finally, Daniel spoke. Mike, I know it won't be easy. I know I've hurt you, but I want to be a better brother. I want to be someone you can trust again. I looked at him. I could see the sincerity in his eyes. For the first time in a long time, I believed him. I don't know if I can trust you yet, I said softly, but I'm willing to try. Daniel smiled, and I could see a small light in his eyes. It was a small step, but it was something. The following weeks were full of small changes. We didn't have big fights anymore. We didn't argue over the money or the past. We just started to live our lives day by day, trying to move forward. It wasn't perfect. There were still moments when the weight of what had happened hung over us, but we were both learning to live with it. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hope. One day we went for a walk together. It was a quiet afternoon, and the weather was perfect. As we walked, we talked about the future, about the things we wanted to do and the things we hoped for. It wasn't a deep conversation, but it was one of the most honest conversations we had ever had. I think we'll be okay, Mike, Daniel said as we walked. I think we'll find a way to make things right. I hope so, I replied. But it'll take time. And as we continued to walk, I realized that maybe, just maybe, we would find a way to rebuild not just the things we had lost, but our relationship too. It wasn't going to be easy, but it was a start, and that was all I needed. It had been a few months since that walk. Things were different now. Daniel and I still didn't always agree, but the anger that once filled our conversations was gone. We were learning how to communicate, to understand each other. One afternoon, as we sat together, I looked at him. He was no longer the man I once fought with. He was different, and so was I. The hurt from the past was still there, but it didn't control us anymore. I know I made a lot of mistakes, Mike, Daniel said one evening, but I'm trying. I really am. I know. I said quietly, and I'm trying too. The weight of the past seemed a little lighter now. There were still times when the past felt too heavy, but those times were becoming fewer. One day, Daniel invited me to a small celebration. It wasn't a big event, just a simple gathering with close friends and family. But it was important to him, and I could tell it meant a lot. As I stood there, looking around at the people who cared for us, I realized how far we had come. We had survived the worst of times, and we were still standing. "I'm proud of us," I said to Daniel that evening. He smiled. "Me too, Mike. Me too." And for the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, we could start fresh. Not forget the past, but learn from it. Move forward one step at a time. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but it was real, and that was enough. We weren't the same brothers we had been before, but in a way we were better. We had learned from our mistakes, and we had found a way to rebuild. And as I looked at Daniel, I knew that our bond, though scarred, was still strong. We had made it through the hardest part, and maybe, just maybe, we could both find peace. This was the beginning of something new. We've covered a lot today. Thanks for being a great audience. See you next time.
Improve. This practice made her more aware of her speech, and soon she became fluent. Practicing with a friend is another great way to gain fluency. I had two students who were best friends. They decided to speak only in English with each other every day. They would have conversations in English, helping each other with words they didn't know. Over time, both of them became very fluent. They learned from each other. They enjoyed the process. Fluency also comes from using the language in real-life situations. When you go to the market, try to speak in English. When you are with friends, try to use English. The more you use the language, the more fluent you become. I had a student who worked in a shop. He decided to speak only in English with his customers. He said, "I don't know how to communicate with my customers." At first, it was difficult, but with time, he became more confident and fluent. Fluency is also about being curious. When you hear a new word, don't ignore it. Find out what it means and try to use it in your next conversation. I remember a student who was very curious. Every time he heard a new word, he would ask me what it meant. He would ask me what it meant. Then he would try to use that word as much as possible. His vocabulary grew, and so did his fluency. It is also important to have a goal. Ask yourself, why do I want to be fluent in English? When you have a clear goal, you are more motivated. I knew a student who wanted to travel to an English-speaking country. This was her goal. She practiced speaking English because she wanted to be ready for her trip. Her goal kept her motivated, and she became fluent before she traveled. I also tell my students to enjoy the process. Fluency does not come overnight. It takes time, but if you enjoy the journey, it becomes easier. I once had a student who loved watching English movies. He would watch one movie every night. At first, he used subtitles, but after a while, he started watching without them. He enjoyed the movies, and at the same time, he was improving his fluency. Fluency is about repetition. The more you repeat, the better you become. I remember a student who loved to repeat sentences. He would hear something in class and then say it over and over again. This helped him a lot. I remember a student who loved to repeat sentences. This helped him remember the sentences, and soon he was using them in his daily conversations. Speaking with different people also helps with fluency. Every person has a different way of speaking. When you talk to different people, you learn different styles of speaking. I once had a student who was very shy. He only spoke to me. I encouraged him to speak to other students. At first he was nervous, but with time he became more comfortable. He learned new ways of expressing himself, and his fluency improved. Sometimes it is good to practice speaking about topics you love. When you talk about something you enjoy, you are more passionate and the words come more easily. I had a student who loved football. Every day he would talk to me about football. This helped him become more fluent because he was speaking about something he was excited about. Fluency also comes from understanding that it's okay to not know everything. Sometimes you may not know a word, and that is okay. Try to explain it in another way. I had a student who always wanted to know the exact word for everything. If he didn't know the word, he would stop speaking. I told him, if you don't know the word, try to describe it. This helped him keep the conversation going even when he didn't know the exact word. A student once asked me, "Teacher, how long will it take to become fluent?" Do not stop. This student practiced every day and soon saw progress. Sometimes it is helpful to practice in front of a mirror. When you see yourself speaking, you become more aware of your expressions and gestures. I had a student who was very shy. She did not like to speak in front of others. I told her to practice in front of a mirror. This helped her become more confident, and soon she was speaking more fluently. Another student asked me, "Teacher, what should I do if I forget a word while speaking?" I told him, "Do not stop. Keep talking. Sometimes the word will come to you later. If not, use another word. Another word." This helped him stay calm when speaking, and he didn't worry about forgetting words. It is also important to take breaks. Sometimes your brain needs rest after a long day of practice. It is good to relax. I knew a student who practiced all the time. She became very tired and started to feel frustrated. I told her, take a break, relax, come back tomorrow with a fresh mind. After taking breaks, she felt better and her fluency continued to improve. Fluency is also about using the language in creative ways. You can write a short story, sing a song, or even make a video. I had a student who loved to write. She would write short stories in English every day. This helped her practice new words and sentences. Soon she started reading her stories aloud, and her fluency improved. Another way to practice is by teaching others. When you teach, you learn even more. I had a student who was very fluent quickly, but when he did not see progress, he became frustrated. I told him, be patient. You are making progress, even if it is slow. He listened to me and continued to practice. Over time, he saw improvement and became more fluent. He became more confident. Fluency is not just about speaking. It is also about listening. When you listen carefully, you learn how to respond. I had a student who was a good listener.